what is going on, everybody? We are back. It is fight day. It is UFC Rio Rancho. And in today's live stream, we will be digging for some fun bets for UFC on ESPN plus 25. We'll be digging for prop bets for every fight, lottery ticket parlays, and all that good kind of stuff to hopefully make watching the fights tonight a little bit more enjoyable. So I'm just going to make sure everything is working here. Looking good. We are live on YouTube. We are live on... Are we live on Mixer? Let me just check if Mixer's doing okay. We are... live on Mixer. And we are live on Twitch. You can always count on Twitch to work. Twitch always looks flawlessly. Very, very cool. So big shout out to everyone watching tonight. And yeah, man, this is my favorite piece of content that I make throughout the week, man. Honestly, boys, like all week we take betting so seriously, man. We like agonize over decisions, and we look into things on a really granular detail, and I absolutely love just chilling out with you guys on a Saturday night, a few hours before the fights take place, and just chopping it up, having some fun, and trying to find some bets to make watching the event more interesting. So with that being said, it is really important that I remind you that this is all about having fun, man. People forget that gambling is also a form of entertainment, right? We take gambling so seriously all week. These live streams are our opportunity to take a look at some props, throw some money around, have a little bit of fun with it, because ultimately, gambling for a lot of people is a form of entertainment, right? They built entire cities, Las Vegas, on gambling being a form of entertainment. And I remember back when I first started watching the sport, I was a real big casual fan, man. I was only interested in the main events, and I remember how painful it was having to watch all the way through the prelims to eventually get to the main event, having to watch fighters I really didn't care that much about, but betting a small amount, $5-10 on every fight made the whole card, the experience of watching the card, a lot more interesting. So if you are serious about making money on the UFC tonight, this is probably not the live stream for you. This is probably not the piece of content for you. But if you are just looking to have some fun, watch the fights, have a little bit of excitement, this is definitely the live stream for you, because we're going to be trying to find a decent value prop bet on every single fight to make watching these fights more fun, more interesting. And I will say, in all fairness, even though I always warn you guys that the vast majority of the bets we talk about in these live streams will lose and that you probably won't make money from them, they are profitable over the last 12 months. So props have actually been doing pretty good. So I will toss that out there, but obviously the variance, the swings are going to be absolutely huge when we're being really loose and we're not actually putting too much thought into our decisions. So big shout out to everyone watching on Twitch and Mixer and also YouTube right now. If you are watching this, boys, on YouTube, please hit the like button, because there are a bunch of twats that seem to come on to these live streams and always hit the dislike button, which is very annoying. So if you do like these live stream, boys, please hit the like button. I was super hyped for this live stream, boys, but I gotta be honest, man. I was planning to go live about an hour ago, and I saw the news that Caroline Flack committed suicide, man, and it's put me on a little bit of a downer. Honestly, boys, I'll keep it all real with you. I'm not really enjoying the YouTube thing that much at the moment. Like, you probably guys noticed, like, over Christmas and that, I wasn't posting as much as usual. And it's just one of those things where, like, I'm not totally sure if the juice is worth the squeeze. Like, you just take so much negativity from people. Like, there are so many, like, horrible people out there online, man. And it's kind of like, I'm just a real small fish. Like, I mean absolutely nothing. But then when you see, like, what people like Caroline Flack must have been going through the last few months to go out and commit suicide at 40 years old, man, when she's got everything going for it, it's fucking horrible. So even though what I have to deal with every week is on, like, a real small level, like, I don't think people appreciate when they're leaving their comments online, like, what it does, what an impact it can have on people. So, man, I just had to take an hour. Like, I didn't want to jump on the stream all bummed out after reading about Caroline Flack committing suicide. It's just pretty shit, man. It is pretty shit. It's not nice to see. There's no need for it, you know what I mean? It didn't have to happen. I just absolutely gutted, and she seemed like a really nice girl, do you know what I mean? Friendly, positive, bubbly. it's absolutely getting. But anyway, boys, this stream's not about that. Just want to say rest in peace, Caroline Flack, man. It's super sad. And there's just so many pricks out there, man, in the media. There's so many pricks online. It sucks. It's a sucky world, man. And I dread to think sometimes the world that my son is going to be growing up into, you know, as he becomes a teenager. It's some dark shit. Anyway, let's get into trying making these fights a little bit more interesting, right? So the first thing we're going to start with is the picks. Everyone wants the picks, right? So let's go through who I think will win each fight this weekend, who I think is the better bet. There's a very, very important distinction to make between those two, because the better bet isn't always necessarily who you think will win. So a really good recent example of this was the Macy Barber against Roxanne Modafferi fight. I thought Macy Barber would win, but given the odds, obviously Roxanne was a much better bet. So just bear that in mind. Do you know what I mean? That's kind of like what we're rolling with when we give these picks. So let's go through it, man. First fight, what are we going to do? So Corey Anderson, Jan Blachowicz. So Jan Blachowicz around about a 3.0 underdog, or on some sites 2.90 underdog, which is plus 190. And Anderson around about 1.44, which is minus 227. I like Anderson in this fight, man. I think that there's loads of reasons to like Anderson, which I've spoken about at length this week in my YouTube video. And yeah, man, Anderson, I think he gets it done tonight. I think, you know, Blachowicz, 37 years old. He's had cardio issues in the past. He's going to struggle to keep up with the pace that Anderson sets, and the fights at high altitude, right, which is an absolute nightmare for him. So I think Anderson gets it done tonight. The next one really, really hurts me, man, because I spoke a little, like, I think I am a bit of a softie, man. I am a little bit of an emotional guy, do you know what I mean? And, like, I care about people a lot. And, like, I just think to anyone with eyes, Diego Sanchez probably ain't doing great at the moment, man. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, when you see him in interviews and stuff, I'm just getting strange vibes off him, man. Like, there's some demons there. He's not happy. He might be battling some health issues. But obviously, being a professional fighter completely defines who he is. You know what I mean? And Diego Sanchez is one of these guys who's going to find it hard to walk away from the sport, which is really sad. I just feel like he's destined to end up fighting in some bullshit bare knuckle promotions on some Indian reservation, which is super duper duper sad, man. It's super sad. It makes me feel really sad, because he deserves better than that. And I feel at this stage in his career, the UFC should be taking care of guys like Diego Sanchez. You know, he is, I believe he's like 37 years old now. He might be 38 years old. Shall we look? He's like 37, 38 years old. And this fight, it's in his hometown, man. This was an opportunity for the UFC to let Diego go out on a high. He's shown over his past few fights against guys like Mickey Gall, Craig White, he's capable of picking up wins with a certain type of stylistic opponent in front of him. Instead of going out there, you know, instead of going and matching him up with a guy like Pereira in front of his hometown fans, a guy in Pereira who can legitimately knock him out in 20 seconds. Like, I'm not saying Pereira's amazing. Pereira's obviously got holes, but it's going to be so difficult for Diego to survive early in this fight with how stiff he is, how much he doesn't really move his head, with how his takedown entries come above hip height. It's going to be really difficult for him to grab a hold of Pereira earlier on. And I just think it's dirty from the UFC, man, to do this matchup. I really do. I think it's a terrible stylistic matchup for Sanchez. I'm praying he gets it done tonight. But I just don't see it happening, man. It's really sad. So it hurts me to even fucking type this in. It hurts me to even type this in for the picks, but I honestly think Pereira's going to win. And I think Pereira's the better bet at the current odds as well. Definitely wouldn't be betting Diego here, as much as it hurts me, man. I was hoping this would be a classic dog or pass fight. I don't think it is. I think Pereira, unfortunately, adds Diego to his highlight reel, which is really sad. It's just really sad, man. It's a shitty stylistic matchup for Diego, and I feel like the UFC have really let him down. Alright, on to the next fight. We are going to go with De La Rosa to win. Better pretty much than Barella everywhere, and we're going to go with De La Rosa being the better bet as well for that same reason. Brock Weaver against Rodrigo Vargas. I think Weaver will win. Weaver looked pretty good in particularly in one of his Island Fights matchups against Tyler Hill that I watched yesterday. Also think Weaver's the better bet. Vargas pretty weak off his back. Doesn't look too dangerous standing. Weaver pretty damn good everywhere. Alright, next one. Bit more of a difficult one. I'm going to go with Bontarin. I watched Rayborg's fights earlier on this week and just not that impressed with him, if I'm being honest with you. He puts himself in loads of bad positions, gets really complacent at times. Bontarin, we don't know a lot about him, but looks like a big, strong, powerful, athletic dude. If he can just focus on shutting Borg down, focusing on position over submission, I think he can do really, really well. Next one, this is a controversial one. I think Vanat is going to win this. And I also think Vanat is the better bet at around even money. I think this is a bad stylistic matchup for Medeiros because of how bad his striking defense is. Vanat has got great boxing. Obviously, Vanat has got his issues, but I think he's more likely to get it done tonight. Rodriguez against Means. We will go with Means. Rodriguez didn't really look that dangerous in his past fights. And Means is obviously very, very good everywhere. This is a real tough debut for Rodriguez, taking the fight on a week's notice. This next fight, Dodson against Nathaniel Wood. Much more difficult to call, man. I was watching Dodson, I watched Nathaniel Wood earlier on today, and it was like I was watching Nathaniel Wood, and I had a different picture in my head of what John Dodson brought to the table, and I was actually getting ready to bet Dodson as an underdog here because I had this vision of Dodson, really light on his feet, loads of lateral movement, doesn't like to engage, chips away at his opponents from the outside, and I thought that would be a really bad stylistic matchup for Wood because Wood isn't very good at cutting the octagon off, and he's not particularly fast with his hands either. So based on the picture of Dodson I had in my head, I thought Wood would actually struggle quite bad here. But when I went and watched Dodson's last few fights, it surprised me that he doesn't really use anywhere near as much lateral movement as I thought he did. He's nowhere near as light on his feet, nowhere near as elusive. So I think Dodson's on a bit of a slide, man. So I'm finding it really, really hard to cap this fight. I'm going to say I think it's more likely Dodson wins. And I'm going to say I think it's more likely Dodson. I think Dodson's the better bet purely because he's got home advantage. The New Mexico State Athletic Commission are terrible, so I think the chances of a robbery are quite high. And also, I think that Dodson is a tricky style for a young, inexperienced fighter like Wood to deal with. He's a southpaw. He's just awkward. He makes everyone look bad. If you look at Dodson's record, he's gone the distance a bunch of times, to a split decision against some pretty good dudes like Munoz, Moraes, Lineker. But I do think his better days are behind him. But at the same time, I do think Wood being quite young and inexperienced, I think he might struggle to deal with Dodson's style. So I'm going to go with Dodson. Don't feel great about it, but it is what it is. It doesn't really matter, does it? Next one, Miller against Holtzman. I'm going to go with Jim Miller for sure. I'm surprised this many people were on Holtzman this week. I researched this fight yesterday, and I actually think Jim Miller's better than Holtzman everywhere. He's a better boxer. He is a significantly better grappler, and he also he does two things very well that Holtzman might struggle with. Holtzman's very susceptible to getting caught with a power left hand. Holtzman also gives his back up a lot when defending takedowns, working his way back to his feet. Miller has got a very accurate, well-timed left hand, also brilliant at taking the back. So the two areas I think Miller can cause Holtzman a big problem. As an underdog, I much prefer to take Miller here. I would actually have bet Miller had we had a little bit more information on how he might look on Saturday night, because obviously in the last 2 years he hasn't been out of the first round in the last 2 years, so we've got no idea how much his Lyme disease has impacted him at this stage in his career. But yeah, I think Miller should do pretty good tonight, man. Miller should do pretty good. Next fight, Dequan Townsend, Devin Clark. We're going to go for Clark again. Similar reason for picking Means as a big favourite. Terrible matchup for Dequan Townsend. Townsend taking the fight on short notice. Bad takedown defense. Clark's a strong wrestler. Should be able to take Townsend down and dominate him on the ground. Aside from a flash KO, should be an easy night to work for Clark. Next fight, Casey Kenny versus Merab Dvalishvili. I'm definitely going to go with Dvalishvili here. I think it's a terrible matchup for Mr. Kenny. Kenny's takedown defense pretty bad, and he also slows down a little bit as the fight goes on, which obviously ain't going to be a good thing when you're fighting at altitude against a guy with cardio for days. Alright, next fight. You know what, boys? It's very, very rare that I will say a fighter at these odds is a better bet than a fighter at these odds due to the randomness of MMA. But after watching some footage on Shanna Young earlier or yesterday, I could tell you that this is a very, very bad stylistic matchup for her. And don't really give her any path to victory. Bad striking defense, low level ground game, quite weak off her back, poor takedown defense. It is a beautiful matchup for Chiasson, man. Unless she completely implodes, should be an easy night's work for her, but obviously her odds reflect that. And then again, sorry to be boring, last one, we're going to go with Paiva to win, and Paiva being the better bet as well. And obviously loads of money's coming on Paiva this week. Had it not been for the fact that there is some uncertainty over Paiva's ground game, I definitely would have bet him here. I think Paiva is Paiva's going to get it done tonight, man. And who knows how much of an impact that might have on Montana De La Rosa competing later on in the card. Alright, so on to the props now. Let's do the props, and then let's get into the props, and let's do the lottery ticket parlays and stuff later on. Alright, and then we'll do a little bit of a Q&A then at the end, boys. If you got any questions, I'll go back through the comments, get everyone's comments and stuff. Big shout out to everyone watching as well, man. I really, really appreciate it. Please hit the like button if you're watching on YouTube. That would mean a lot. I've noticed loads of people are disliking my videos lately, so just trying to keep the ratio up a little bit, keep the channel growing. So yeah, it would mean a lot, boys, if you could hit that like button. Keep things moving. Alright, onto these prop bets then. Where are we? Okay, we need that up. Onto these prop bets then. Let's take a look. First fight, Mark De La Rosa against Raulian Paiva. What do we like here? Obviously, the one that makes sense is going to be Paiva to win by decision, but I'm guessing the odds aren't going to be very good on that. Also, to let you know, boys, if you're watching one of these live streams for the first time, my philosophy on props is that there's no point in betting on a guy like Raulian Paiva to win by decision at odds of 1.77 when you can bet on him to win straight at 1.41. There's just not enough difference in the odds for me when you're betting a super highly specific outcome in a sport with so many variables that's so unpredictable like MMA. So my philosophy on props is go big or go home. Bet some crazy stuff, bet some wild stuff. Just basically look for the props with really good payoffs, really good risk to reward ratios, because that should help you profit from the randomness of MMA over time. If you're betting on, prop bets with huge payouts, those are the kind of props I prefer. And over the last 12 months, I started tracking my results on props 12 months ago. You can check them out, MMABettingTips.com/results. They're in profit over the last year. So far, my philosophy is working. All right, so let's take a look at this fight then. Mark De La Rosa, Raulian Paiva. So the odds on Paiva to win by decision don't make any sense. You may as well bet him straight. What should we go for here? What's Montana De La Rosa's record of being submitted like? 11-3. Only been submitted by Elliot. I just noticed that Paiva jumps on subs a lot, and he has some pretty deep submission attempts in some of his past fights I watched. But Mark De La Rosa is from Team Takedown. He's a strong wrestler. It's unlikely he's going to catch De La Rosa. De La Rosa primarily a grappler. What else have we got? I also, guys, I don't really don't pay any attention to these props because very few sites have them. What can we go for here? See, Piver, I was looking at Piver to win by knockout or TKO at 7.75, but in the not too distant history, he's gone the distance with lots of guys that don't appear to be the highest level, and De La Rosa is super tough, even though he's second best big time when it comes to striking. All right, boys, let's be boring. Let's just pass on that. Can't find a prop I like on that fight. You know, at the end of the day, we're being liberal, we're being fun, we're being loose with our money here, and rolling the dice on some crazy props to make watching the fights a lot more interesting. But we also don't want to set fire to money and place really, really, really stupid bets, right? We don't want to be crazy loose. We need to find a little bit of a balance. So on to the next one now. Macy Chiasson against Shayna Young. What have we got here? Chiasson by knockout was the first one I thought of. 2.15. Odds aren't great, but then Shayna Young's striking defense is so fucking bad, boys. It is so fucking bad. Let's have a look what Chiasson prefers to do to her opponents on the ground. Does she prefer to lock in submissions or win through ground and pound? I kind of feel like she prefers ground and pound. She does. The odds are terrible. But Young's striking defense is so bad that I think, 2.15 is actually playable. Is it playable? Is it playable? I don't know, man. I hate betting props at these odds, boys. I fucking hate it. They're just way too short for the odds are just way too short for highly specific outcomes. Let's just take a look. What about Chiasson in round 2? It's dead, boys. It is dead. Sorry. Let's skip that one as well. Not liking that fight too much. All right, little bit more of an interesting one here. Casey Kenny against Merab Dvalishvili. Public opinion super split on this fight, so maybe we'll get some decent props on this one. And Jesus, I'm just noticing big money coming in on Merab in the last few hours. He was 1.62 like 4 hours ago, and now down to 1.50 on William Hill, which is absolutely crazy. Let's take a look at this fight then from a prop betting point of view. 2 fights we've done so far, pretty dead for prop bets. Oh, look, well, straight away we've got our prop. Those odds are outrageous. These are the exact type of props I'm looking for. Like, why is Dvalishvili 13.25 to win by knockout or TKO in a cage fight? I don't understand. He dropped Ricky Simone with a big uppercut. He always finishes fights strong. You go watch his third rounds. He loves to inflict big damage with ground and pound. We know Kenny slows down as the fight goes on. Could definitely see Dvalishvili getting a TKO stoppage through ground and pound. 100%. But then that's nice as well. Dvalishvili wins in round 3, 26.0. I actually think I'm going to go for 2 props on this fight. I'm going to be a little bit leery here. And we're going to go for Dvalishvili to win by KO or TKO at 13.25. Let's get my little calculator out. Where are we? Let's get my calculator out. 13.25 plus 1225. Where are we? All right, plus 1225. And then for all the psychos that use fractions, that is 49-4. And I also recommend Dvalishvili to win in round 3. Odds of 26.0. Those odds are outrageous. Those are the kind of props I'm interested in. Really good risk to reward ratio. Trying to capitalize on the randomness of MMA, and I believe that should be 25-1. My very, very limited knowledge of fractional betting. I have no idea why you'd ever use fractional odds. I see Dave LB saying Kenny by sub. Mate, I don't like Kenny by sub just because he hasn't looked that dangerous to me, if I'm being honest. Hasn't looked that dangerous. If you look at his record, bit of a decision machine. Doesn't really have many wins by submission. And Dvalishvili is one of these guys, really compact, really explosive, really athletic. He's going to be difficult to trap in bad positions. He's always trying to just explode out of situations. So it's going to be really difficult for a guy like Kenny to catch a dude like Dvalishvili. And also, with the fight being at high altitude, guys get sweaty like really early on in the fight. So it's much harder to trap people in submissions when they're kind of like sweaty and greasy, obviously, because you can just slip and slide out of bad positions. All right. On to the next one then. No, I do like those two though, boys. Dvalishvili to win by KO or TKO. Dvalishvili to win in round 3. We likey those. All right, on to another interesting one, which should be a cool one for prop bets. Let's look at Ray Borg against Rogerio Bontorin. What do we have here? We don't have many props so far. Again, this one jumps out to me. Borg by knockout or TKO 15.0. The odds on that are crazy. These are the kind of ones I dig for. But at the same time, I can't rationalise like any realistic situation where I could see Borg winning by knockout or TKO. He's not particularly dangerous standing. Bontorin is strong on the ground, you know what I mean? And Borg tends to favour submission attempts over ground and pound anyway. And even when Borg does let his hands go and get some ground and pound off, he's not the most damaging from top position. And with Bontorin's body type, I do think Borg's going to find it quite difficult to control him on the ground. Borg by submission 9.35. That's a little bit more interesting to me. But these boys, I think it's more likely are going to go to a decision. So I would actually take Bontorin wins by decision. I just think there's shit going on with Borg at the moment, man. Hasn't looked the same since back in 2017. Missed weight again. Not exactly sure what exactly is going on with him. I know that the odds aren't great, boys, but do think both guys are reasonably skilled on the ground to defend themselves. Neither guy looks particularly dangerous with ground and pound. They both seem to favour position and submissions. So we'll go with that, man. But I definitely think there's a few issues going on with Ray Borg at the moment. So we'll pick that one. But I definitely don't love the odds on that one, boys. The odds are pretty dead. I would not. I don't really like that. Only you know, boys. You know the score of these fun bets. Only bet shit like that if you want to place a bet on every fight to make watching it a little bit more interesting. I think that's the best prop. Definitely don't love it though. All right, on to the next one. This should be another good one for prop bets. Jim Miller against Scott Holtzman. So the one I'm looking for is Miller by submission. That's 4.54. So that's not great. That isn't great at the moment. Would have liked a little bit better than 4.54. What about Miller by knockout? Yeah, we'll go with that, definitely. We'll go Miller by knockout or TKO. The thing with Holtzman is he is very, very susceptible to eating the power left hand. If you go back and watch his past fights, you'll see that he gets dinged quite a bit off the left hand. Miller's a southpaw, times the left hand very, very nicely. I do think the most likely outcome is Miller by submission. But again, the whole thing about being tough to trap guys when they're like sweaty and slippery at altitude. What's Miller by decision out of interest? What's Holtzman by knockout? Holtzman's not going to submit Miller. Holtzman by knockout 3.10. That's terrible. Holtzman by knockout terrible. Holtzman by decision 3.75. Miller by decision 4.60. I think I'm going to go with Miller by knockout or TKO. If we take a quick look at Holtzman's record, where are we? Here is Mr. Holtzman's record. He got dinged by Nick Lentz. He got almost knocked out by Dong Young Ma, getting a little bit overly aggressive. Miller could go one step further than Ma or Nick Lentz and put him away. Definitely hits harder than Lentz. Definitely a better boxer than Ma. So if Ma can catch him, so can Miller, and the odds are very nice. So we'll go with that. Also, another thing about Mr. Holtzman that is worth bearing in mind: if Miller is at his best tonight, if he has, fully recovered from Lyme disease like he's telling us he has, this is by far like the toughest matchup of Holtzman's career. Very, very difficult matchup of him, obviously next to Josh Emmett, but aside from Emmett, very, very difficult matchup for Holtzman. If Mr. Miller's at his best, where are we going? Where's fractional odds? 21 to 22. Okay. 21 to 22. No. Plus, my mic is in the way of my goddamn keyboard. And then it's 21 to 20. 21 to 2 for all the psychos that use fractional odds. All right. On to the next fight, boys. And let me just check everything is running okay. Yeah, we're good. Shout out to the one person watching on Mixer as well, boys. To the one person watching on Mixer. I love you, bro. Whoever you are. It's probably my son. It's probably my wife. But whoever you are, man. If you're watching on Mixer, really, really appreciate it. If it is my son, Dan, you should be watching this. I swear too much. Alright, on to the next fight, boys. Is it John Dodson next? Yeah, John Dodson against Nathaniel Wood. Stig for a prop bet on this. This is one of those fights, like every now and again, like a fight will come up and you spend like your standard 2 hours researching it, 2-3 hours researching it, just like every other fight. And I'll research a fight and I'll literally come away just like, I just have no idea what's going to happen. Just don't have a strong opinion at all. And I feel very much the same about this Wood versus Dodson fight. I really don't have a strong opinion on this one at all. Don't lean particularly strongly either way. Don't lean strongly either way. It's a tough one for me, this, boys. This is a tough one. The thing that is jumping out at me is Dodson by knockout or TKO. Just because Nathaniel Wood gets dinged a lot, right? He got rocked by Johnny Eduardo. He fought very recklessly against Josh Reed. Nathaniel Wood's a reckless guy, man. And Dodson hits hard. He dropped Peter Yan. It's a big step up in competition for Wood. Odds are pretty wide, 7.50. Remember, boys, this is not me talking about the most likely outcomes. This is just me fishing for prop bets with a crazy risk to reward ratio to make watching these fights more interesting. And Dodson by knockout or TKO, 7.50 seems a little bit wide. But then Dodson by decision. The thing is, why would you bet Dodson by decision at 2.90 when you could just take him straight at 2.40? It makes absolutely no sense. It makes no sense for a slight bump in the odds to take on so much extra risk with the randomness of MMA. Dodson by decision, Dodson by knockout or TKO. One thing I will say about Wood, even though he's very reckless and very easy to hit, he is very good at recovering and he's very tough. Very much like his mentor, Brad Pickett. Tough, man. It is tough. It is tough with Mr. Wood. So it's a tough fight for Wood, man. That's what, like, Dodson is definitely on a decline, but it is a tough fight for Wood stylistically. I'm going to go with Dodson by knockout or TKO. Just because of how reckless Wood is. And we've seen him dinged many, many times. Go watch the Johnny Eduardo fight. Go watch the Josh Reed fight. So we're going to go for that, boys. Again, don't love the odds. Would like a little bit better. It's strange to me why Dodson to win by knockout is 7.50 when Miller to win by knockout is 11.50. That's a little bit strange to me, but look, do you know what I mean? The low liquidity lines on these prop bets, you're gonna get a lot of mad shit, right? A lot of inaccuracies in the odds. Right, next step, let's go for Daniel Rodriguez against Tim Means, and let's see what the odds on the props are here. So Rodriguez by knockout or TKO, 6.05. I don't like that because obviously Means only been KO'd one time in his entire career. Means by knockout or TKO, 3.0. Would have liked a bit better than that, if I'm honest, especially with him talking about using his wrestling a lot in this fight. There's nothing I really like here, boys. There is nothing I like. Let's have a look at his record, man. So, if we look at their records, let's bring these two boys up. So, Daniel Rodriguez, I don't like this. I don't like him to win by knockout at 6.05 because when we watched his last fights, didn't really look that dangerous. Didn't really seem to have that much power in his hands. You know, he's gone the distance with some really low-level guys. Alvarez was gassed out of his mind. So 6.05, that's not good enough for me, especially when Means has only ever been KO'd one time ever by Nico Price. But then Rodriguez does look like a tough dude, man. Like a tough, gritty dude. So 3.0 on Means to win by knockout isn't great, especially when Means has been talking about using his wrestling all week. Yeah, I'm sorry to be boring, boys. This is probably going to be another fight I pass on for the props. I'm not really keen on Means to win by knockout or TKO. Rodriguez looks pretty tough, man. All right, on to the next one. Let's go with Lando Vannata. Or is it next on the list? Yeah, Lando Vannata against Yancy Medeiros. Let's take a look at this. Let's have a look at this. So, Lando Vannata against Yancy Medeiros. This could be... See, again, boys, they've got it sewn up. They've got it sewn up on a few of these fights. I like Means by knockout at TKO. I was hoping it'd be like 4.50, 5.0. It wasn't. 3.0 too short. The bet that I like in this is Lando Vannata by knockout at TKO. It's 3.70. Again, it's a little bit short for me. And again, like I think the two most likely outcomes on this fight, Vannata by knockout at TKO or Medeiros by decision, but they've got that sewn up as well at 3.80. What I have noticed about Lando is what you'll find about Lando is that I think he's become conscious of the fact that he slows down a lot. So he actually starts fights very, very slow now. And I've noticed watching these fights this week, his second round tends to be his best round. That's when he tends to open up a lot more and really get going. So I actually think Lando by to win in round 2 at 7.25 could be decent. Obviously, people are expecting Vannata to slow down a lot in this fight, but it is worth remembering he does live and train in New Mexico, so he should be used to the altitude. So I'm not too sure how much the altitude is going to have an impact on him. I would go for Vannata wins in round 2 at 7.25. I've just noticed that for whatever reason, Vannata really starts to get it going, man, in the second round. This tends to be like his best round of fights, which is quite strange, really, when you take into consideration the fact he's got a reputation for slowing down. So 25-4 for all the psychos using fractional odds, and we will update that. All right. Now let's get on to. Let's get on to the next one, boys. Then we'll catch up with all the stuff on live chat. Let's have a look. So Brock Weaver against Rodrigo Vargas. So the prop bets have been pretty dead on the two other fights that were late announcements. Kiazon against Young, Means against Rodriguez. Let's see if there's an opportunity on this Weaver Vargas fight. So there might be, because there's a lot that Weaver does, man. Weaver's got a really diverse range of attacks. Oh yeah, there we go, straight away. Brock Weaver to win by knockout at TKO at 8.0. We like that. And not necessarily because Weaver's particularly dangerous standing, because he isn't. Weaver isn't dangerous standing at all. But because he's very, very active on the ground, man. Or maybe, I don't know, man. 8.0. I was thinking, Weaver comes in with a grappling heavy game plan, gets his man Vargas to the ground, starts beating him up with ground and pound. Yeah, 8.0 is quite wide. We'll take that. We'll take that. Weaver is very aggressive, and he has cardio for days. Vargas, quite a big, muscular, quite a big Mexican man, and I think the high altitude climate could affect him. Difficult to say because he lives and trains in New Mexico, so you'd think he'd be used to it, but with his body type, he might struggle to keep up with the pace the Weaver sets. And of course, the beauty of these kind of bets is you've only got to hit 1 or 2 of them per card, and you're in profit. I think that's why we've been doing so well on props over the last year or so. It's just because we capitalise on the randomness of MMA, man. You know what I mean? The absolute randomness of MMA. Oh, nice ones, Rocco. Thanks a lot, dude. Appreciate the super chat, Rocco. Thanks a lot, mate. Thanks a lot, dude. Appreciate that, mate. All right, on to the next one then. Let's go. Montana De La Rosa against Montana De La Rosa. No, that's not right. Montana De La Rosa against Mara Romero Barella. Let's take a look at this one, boys. Let us take a look at this one. What have we got? All right. Okay. De La Rosa's very, very aggressive with the submissions. Interested to see what the odds on that are. 5.90. Let's check a little bit further back into Barella's history and see how she's lost her 6 career fights. Has she lost by submission, decision? What's going on? Because we do know De La Rosa, very, very tricky submission grappler. Let's take a look. Never been submitted. Little bit of a concern how she was stopped with punches against Anna Elmos. Elmo's not good at all, man. Remember she fought Jermaine Durandame, and who else was it? It was Amanda Bobby Cooper, and then got released from the UFC. We know that De La Rosa is very, very aggressive with these submissions, man. Very, very technical, skilled grappler. Yeah, we'll go for that. We'll go for De La Rosa by submission. Both these girls primarily grapplers. They're probably going to want to mix it up on the ground. And like I say, De La Rosa, pretty nasty on the ground. And also, there wasn't really a size difference at the weigh-ins. I was anticipating that Barella would look quite a bit bigger than De La Rosa, but she didn't. Maybe she'll fill out a little bit after rehydrating. But yeah, there was nowhere near as big of a size difference as I thought there would be. So I actually think De La Rosa is pretty tempting now as a bet tonight. But dangerous to bet on female fighters in this odds range. You've got to cap him at around 70%, which is really dangerous to do, especially with the way MMA judges are, man. I have a feeling that judges are going to be terrible again tonight. Last time the UFC held an event in New Mexico, they were bad. It's a neighboring state to Texas. It's probably going to be all kinds of bad tonight. Alright then, boys. Alright. Let's get into the next one. Let's take a look at Devin Clark against Dequan Townsend. What does Clark like to do on the ground? Does he go wins by ground and pound? No, he's a proper decision machine. Even back to his days in RFA. Proper decision machine. Wonder what Dequan is by submission. Struggling with this one, boys. What do we think? Clark to win by knockout or TKO is pretty dead. Don't like the odds on that with how Dequan, with how tough Dequan looked against Dalcha. I know Devin dropped Rakic. Tough one, boys. Tough one. Not liking the odds here. Clark wins by knockout TKO. That's a bit short, 5.25. That is tempting, knowing how hard Townsend commits to submissions and how Clark has been caught in the past in some weird submissions against Blachowicz and obviously Ryan Spann. Probably going to pass on this one, boys. I tell you what, the bookies have had these fights that were announced on short notice pretty much sewn up, right? There were no real props on Macy Chiasson against Shana Young, none on Tim Means versus Daniel Rodriguez, not really any on that last fight either. A little bit dead. Alright, on to the next one now. Diego Sanchez against Michel Pereira. Let's see what we've got here. Obviously, the most likely outcome, I think, is Pereira to win by knockout or TKO. The odds are dead on that. 2.14, pretty terrible. What about Pereira in round 1? Not great, 3.25. Not great. Not great. Not great. Not great. Not great. Not great. I am actually going to go for it though. I feel dirty, man. I want Diego to win so bad tonight. Like, I gave a huge speech about this at the beginning of the live stream, right? I really want Diego to win, but unfortunately, I don't see it happening. I really, really, really am rooting hard for Diego tonight, but I feel that he's got his hands full, to say the least. I just think that Pereira is going to be so difficult to tie up because of how much he moves around and how all of Diego's takedown entries come above hip height. I just don't see Diego being able to survive long enough dealing with Pereira's flim-flam for him to actually drag Pereira into a stage in the fight where Pereira is going to get tired. I think that's what everyone's hoping for Diego. I think it's really unlikely. Alright then, on to the main event. Corey Anderson against Jan Blachowicz. I might have a controversial prop on this one. Might have a controversial one, boys. Might go for a controversial prop. What's Blachowicz to win by knockout or TKO? See, that's crazy to me, 5.0. That's crazy with how easy Anderson is to hit. That's a little bit crazy to me. What about... Has Anderson got any submission wins on his record? Could see a situation where Yang gets so tired that he gives up a weak submission. No. Boys, I'm going to go for a controversial prop on this fight. I am going to go for Corey Anderson wins in round 4. Was it 15.25? Which would be plus 1425, I think. Although not 100% sure. So, boys, if you've got any questions about the fights tonight, drop them in the chat on Mixer, Twitch, or YouTube, and I'll scroll back through all the comments now, boys. We'll have a little bit of a Q&A section after we get this done. And 57-4. Alright, actually, we've got to fight. We've got to look for the lottery ticket parlays, right? So there's all the props for tonight, boys. Like I say, I always give this speech at the beginning of the live streams. The vast majority of these bets will lose. This is simply to make watching the fights tonight more fun, more entertaining. $5, $10 on each one of these props. Make watching the fights a little bit more fun. We take betting so seriously all week. These live streams are our opportunity to have a little bit of fun. And some decent props in there, man. Oh, I didn't put the round in. Was my number lock off or something? Vanata wins in round 2, right? Where are we? In round 2. Right, we'll pop that in there, boys. And then... yeah, man. Some decent props in here, man. Miller by knockout TKO. I like that. Devashvili to win in round 3. I like that. Weaver to win by knockout or TKO 8.0. I really like that. Some decent ones in there, man. Some decent ones in there for sure. Yes, beep beep in my Jeep. Let's get into the motherfucking parlays. Beep beep in my Jeep is one of my VIP members who's always with me in my daily live streams on my website, man. So shout out to you, beep beep in my Jeep. always with me, boys. If you do not know this, I live stream literally every single day on my website. You can see we did a 2-hour live stream on the fight between Jim Miller and Scott Holtzman last night. So if you want to get balls deep in MMA, that's where you can find me. So yeah, Beep Beep in my Jeep is in there with me every day. Shout out to you, mate. So yeah, it's time to get into these crazy parlays. So we've kind of got 3 levels of parlays, right? We got the long shot parlay, kind of like a 4, 5, 6 leg parlay that it's got an okay chance of winning, but he's probably going to lose. But decent odds, you know, a little bit of a parlay. There's got a decent chance of winning, man, to make the night more interesting. We've got a Hail Mary parlay, which is like maybe a 6, 7, 8 leg parlay. A little bit more of a long shot, but, you know, you're probably going to hit a few a year to be a really exciting win. And then we've got a lottery ticket parlay where we go completely crazy, try and hit 9 or 10 legs for a very, very big risk to reward ratio. I think the lottery ticket parlay on the event before last had odds of like 1,800.0. I mean, what would that even be? It was literally odds of this plus like 18,000, I think, something like that. So if you hit one of them a year, mate, like if you hit one of them a fucking decade, you're probably doing good, right? So anyway, let's take a look at these lottery ticket situations. So we'll start off with a conservative one. We're looking for 5 or 6 legs. So we want 5 or 6 legs we feel pretty confident on. So I am gonna go with top. Let's go bottom to top. Let's go Piver. Fuck it, I will throw Kias on in. Usually I wouldn't at these odds, but I don't see her losing. Davashvili means Weaver and Anderson. I like that. Piver, Kia's on. Davashvili means Weaver, Anderson. We will have that, boys. We will have it. We will have it. And I've already got a cheeky little parlay lined up for the next one. Do I throw Pereira in there as well? Do I get greedy? Yeah, I think so. Let's get greedy. Boom. 10.76. We're already off to the races on this one, boys. 10.76. That is the first one. Let me fire Photoshop up. I'm liking the look of this. I say it every week, boys. I say it every week. I'm like, you know what, boys? I have a good feeling about this parlay. Every week I do it. Every week I do the accumulate. I've got a good feeling. Gets crushed every week. Although we have only been doing them for 2 weeks in my defense. But it's one of those things where it's like... just one of those things, man, where it's like... It's like when you go buy a scratch card or a lottery ticket from a shop, right? You'll buy like a scratch card, you'll pay for your lottery ticket on a Saturday, and you'll be like, do you know what? This is the one, man. Like, I'm feeling good about the lottery tonight. Like, I am going to win the motherfucking lottery tonight. You know what I mean? Like, you just have a feeling you're going to win the lottery, and you never do. That's how I feel every week with these fucking parlays and accumulators. But, anyway, hopefully... this one turns out to be a winner. Quietly confident about this one. Piver, Kiazon, Davashvili means Weaver, Anderson, Pereira. They should all win. They should all win. I quite like that. I quite like it, you know. Not going to lie. Quietly confident. So we will pop that in here for the whole world to see. Oh, first of all, be smart if I... it would be very smart if I uploaded it, wouldn't it? Choose file. Lottery 1. And then we're going to get crazy with the other 2 lottery ticket parlays, boys. I've already eyed up what I'm going to do for the other lottery tickets. We're going to get fucking crazy up in here, boys. We are going to get crazy. Alright, pop that one in there. That is the first one. We like that a lot. We like it a lot. Decent odds as well, man. Double the odds we had on last week's one. We've got Piver, Kiazon, Davashvili, Means, Weaver, Anderson. I like it a lot, boys. I like it a lot. Alright, on to the next one. We want one that's a little bit riskier than this for better odds. Not a loads riskier, but a little bit riskier, right? Let's go. Piver, Kiazon. Davashvili, Miller, Means, De La Rosa, Pereira, Anderson. We like it, boys. We like that one. We like that one. We like that one. We like that. Paiva, yes, should win. Kiazon, yes, should win. Davashvili, yes, should win. Miller, yes, should win. Means, yes, should win. De La Rosa, yes, should win. Pereira, yes, should win. Anderson, 1.4, yes, should win. And for the next one, we are going to get spicy. We're going to get some fucking spicy hot wings for the next ultra lottery ticket parlay, boys. 27.0. I gotta stop saying it. I have to stop saying it because this bet is probably going to get crushed after the first fight. But it ain't bad. It ain't bad, you know. It's not bad. Like, we will hit a good number of these in a calendar year. I absolutely know it. Be very interested to see what the profit and loss will be like after a year if you bet like $10 on every one. Be very, very interested. Because I'm always fucking trashing parlays and saying they're a waste of time. But we'll be very interested to see how many we win over the course of a year. This is virgin territory, right? This is nothing. I've never done this before. I've never tracked this before. I've never taken this seriously before. We'll be very interested to see if we can actually turn a profit on these. It'd be quite surprising to me if we could, but also not impossible because you've only got to hit. You've only got to hit a few every year. The huge ones, and you're sitting pretty, right, boys? You are sitting very, very pretty. All right, now we get into the ultra one, the crazy one, where we need big boy odds. We need to chuck some dogs in here, right? We're going to go Paiva, Kiazon, Clark, Davashvili, Miller, Means, Vanata, Bontarin, Weaver, De La Rosa, Pereira, Anderson. 202.0. We will take that, boys. We will take that. 202.0. Paiva, yes. Kiazon, Clark, Davashvili, Miller, Means, Vanata, Bontarin, Weaver, De La Rosa, Pereira, Anderson. Boom. We like it, boys. We like it. We fucking like it a lot. One day we're going to hit one soon. I can feel it in my bones. Shouldn't actually be saying any of this. Responsible gambling and all that stuff. It's probably a terrible idea to place these bets. They're all probably going to lose. But anyway, that's an interesting one. We do like that. We do like that a lot, boys. Just add this to the site and then I will do a little bit of a Q&A. So if you've got anything you want to ask me, boys, anything you want to talk about on tonight's fight, please drop a comment in the live chat on YouTube, Mixer or Twitch. Any of them will do. I'm not fussy. You can pick whichever one you want. And we will get through as many comments as I can now. As many comments as I can, boys. That's what we're going to do. So we'll bang that in there. We'll get the old URL for the image. We'll pop it in here. Bam. 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 We are motherfucking done. I like them. I like them, boys. They're probably going to get destroyed after the first bet, right? But I do like them. I do like these parlays, boys. I do like them. All right, then. Let's close that down. We don't need to see that. Oh, actually, yeah, you boys might want to might want them up in the background, right? So we'll leave these up in the background while I just scroll back through, man. And answer any questions you've got. So I'm going to scroll back about 10 minutes, boys, and work my way through these questions. See if we got anything. Starkiller is saying, does anyone think Jan has got more chance to win than the bookies give him? I don't. I think this is a bad fight for Jan, mate, just because he's only won 2 fights. Only won 2 fights by KO in his last 18. And he tends to slow down as the fight goes on, and he's super weak off his back as well. So I think it's a good stylistic matchup for Anderson. I think Jan is going to struggle tonight. Geronimo saying, how did you do last week with all the bad judging? Bad judging, how much money did bad judging cost me last week? So had a little bit. I had a small live bet on Jonathan Martinez. I did personally score the fight for Andre Ewell. I just want to throw that out there. I had the first and third rounds for Andre Ewell. I gave the second round to Martinez. Most people scored the fight though for Martinez. We can see here, the vast majority of media members scored the fight for Martinez. I had a small live bet on Martinez, but I think that Ewell won the first round. I think Martinez definitely won the second round. Third round was super close, but Ewell was a little bit busier for me, but it was a close fight, man. Could have gone either way. So I lost a little bit of money on Martinez, nothing major though. Then I had a 1 unit parlay on Andrea Lee and Derek Lewis, which obviously lost, and I'm absolutely furious about. That was a pre-fight bet, so that cost me a little bit of money. I've fucking no idea how you could score that fight for Murphy, but whatever. That cost me a little bit. Then I live bet John Jones in round 2. I'm not going to say what odds because it might make it possible to trace my accounts, but I live bet John Jones in round 2. And then at the end of round 3, I was 100% convinced that Reyes was up 3 rounds. So I hedged out of my live bet on John Jones and live bet Reyes to end up break even. So bad judging didn't actually cost me much. Lost a little bit on Martinez, lost a little bit on Lee, and broke even on the main event. But would have made a slight profit had Reyes won, because the odds on Reyes were pretty nice at the end of got an itchy nose. The odds on Reyes were pretty nice at the end of round 3, so I think I took a real small loss on Jones. On the main event overall. Had Reyes won, I would have made like a real small profit. It was one of those hedges, like you're never going to get it exactly right. So yeah, bad judging didn't cost me too much. I guess it was more the principle of things. Unless any of my elite members are listening and they can remember any live bets we got robbed on that I have forgotten about. I think it was just a live bet on Martinez that we lost. Andrea Lee pre-fight. Julian Tomescu, have I got another super chat, bro? I am very sorry, mate, that I missed this. Shit, Julian, I'm really sorry, dude. Thanks a lot for the super chat, man. I really appreciate it, mate. I completely missed that. I fucking hate the YouTube interface. Boys, from a content creator point of view, I'll be completely real with you. From a content creator point of view, YouTube is shit. Mixer and Twitch is so much better. So I'm really sorry I missed your super chat, Julian. He is asking, what do I think about a parlay on Weaver and Ferreira? Let's take a look, man. What are the odds roughly, dude? So if we've got Weaver and Ferreira. Which Ferreira, dude? Which Ferreira? Do you mean Pereira? Yeah, man, I'm not sure about that one, I'm not sure, mate. The odds are a little bit short for me. The odds are a little bit short. The way I would look at this parlay is... It's Weaver's UFC debut, man. You don't know what you're going to get from him. You don't know how he's going to deal with the altitude. If you want to parlay a heavy favourite with a moderate favourite, I think Tim Means is way safer. Lives and trains in New Mexico. He's going to be used to the altitude. Significantly better than Rodriguez everywhere. Rodriguez not particularly dangerous. And then I would probably take... I think Dvalishvili is a much safer bet than Pereira. Dvalishvili or De La Rosa. Take your pick. I would go for that parlay instead, just because I think Means is a safer bet than Weaver, and I feel Dvalishvili is more likely to get it done than Pereira, and they're in the same odds range. Means similar odds to Weaver, Dvalishvili similar odds to Pereira. I know they're a little bit less, but you're getting roughly the same payout on the parlay, so I would go for that, dude. But nice one for the super chat anyway, Julian. I really appreciate it, mate. Thank you very much, dude. Let's get on to put them back up. The questions, okay. Rewired Worth 3 is saying judges showing scores between rounds could ruin live betting. I've got no problem with it, mate. I haven't really considered the impact it'll have on live betting, but I lose so much money live betting with when the judges get it wrong that at this point I couldn't give a fuck. I just want it to improve. Like, I honestly, boys, I don't lose money live betting. Obviously, I make the majority of my money from live betting, but in the last 2 years, I've lost count of how much money bad judging's cost me. It's got to be like fucking, I don't know, like 50 grand is a conservative number. I will say that. It's probably way more than 50 grand. It's impossible to calculate with, like, you know, slowed down compounded growth rate, but it's fucking sick. So at this stage, mate, I'll take any change to the judging I can get. Mark Koval is asking, do you keep a track record on your props? I do, bro. I do. I can actually show it to you. Shall I add it into this page? We'll have a little look. It used to be in these prop pages. I'm not sure why it's not there anymore. Let's get it up for you, mate. Where are we going? Okay, if we go chat, pop that in there, pop that in there, pop that in there, pop that in there. We'll be able to see the chart magically appear now, mate. Let's have a look. So this is the profit and loss on prop bets over the last 12 months. So I started my YouTube channel last January. Never really messed with props before because they're really low liquidity, low max bet limits. But I started my YouTube channel last January, started doing these fun bet live streams last February when we started tracking the results. And since then, as expected, the results have been absolute chaos. Crazy variance, lots of swings up and down. But after 12 months, we are slightly in profit, which is an incredible achievement, really. I am really, really proud of our ability to grind out a profit on prop bets, because the fact that we bet like 70% of fights on every single card, and we don't even put that much thought into the bets, and we've still managed to roughly end up at break even in slight profit after 12 months. I think it's an amazing achievement and kind of crazy. And obviously they've been doing great since October. Profit every month since October, the last 5 months. So yeah, props been doing great, man. But obviously, because the nature of them, you're gonna get crazy swings, you know. But yeah, I'm definitely proud that we've been able to bet almost every fight in the last year and end up in profit. That's incredibly difficult to do. All right, 2 seconds, guys. Just gotta send a quick text message. Just a very quick one, then we'll carry on with this Q&A. Basically, boys, what I'm going to do is I've got to order food. The event starts in like 2 hours, so I'm going to order myself some food, get the wife to order some food for me right now, and then when it arrives, we'll end this live stream. But I'll get through as many questions as I can before my food arrives, boys. I've got to fuel the fire, man. I've got to get ready for the for live betting tonight, right? Let's see what we got. Rewired Worth 3 is saying, do you think Corey Anderson could beat Jones? Nah, man. No. Think he would really struggle because he's very easy to hit, and he won't have his wrestling to fall back on. I think Anderson's a very, very easy fight for John Jones. Like, I think it's only a matter of time before Jones loses. I think Reyes beat him. I think Thiago Santos beat him. But I don't think Anderson is the guy to treble him. Just he doesn't have the striking to take advantage of Jones's passiveness. Oh, Chris 1 is saying he's Polish. He's taking his guy Jan. Good luck, dude. Good luck, mate. Rocco is saying Fury switching up trainers is a red flag. Not sure what the situation with Fury is, man. Weren't people going crazy that Fury started working with an inexperienced trainer in the first place? So didn't realise it would be considered a red flag. Now he's going back to his roots. Beep Beep in my Jeep is saying, this is how I made my bankroll hitting a monster parlay on my first night as a VIP. Quality, dude. Let us know what the parlay was, Beep Beep in my Jeep, mate. Let us know, dude. Mark Koval is asking how many units on props and parlays. The max bet limits are really low on props and parlays. What I would do is I would just say bet a lot less on props and parlays than you do on serious bets. That would just be my advice. So if you bet like $50 on a fighter, bet like... Oh, you don't want to be betting $5 on each of those props if you bet $50 on a fighter, because if they all lose, that's going to put a big dent in your money. I would say... If you bet $50 on a fighter, bet like $1 each on these parlays, $1 each on these props. Keep it real small, man. These should just be for fun. Jake S is saying, hey man, what do you think about looking for overs to bet on cards which take place in states with suspect commissions? I mean, I don't see fights being any more likely to go the distance in states with suspect commissions, man. I'm not too sure what you mean by that, dude. Not too sure, mate. Tiny Danza is saying, who is your favourite play for DraftKings? Good question, man. I don't want to reveal my team, because if everyone picks the same team in DraftKings, nobody wins any fucking money. So I'll keep my team a secret. I won't bring it up on my PC, but let me have a look at my team and I'll tell you who I think the best DraftKings pick is. So I will say this. I think the best DraftKings pick is Macy Chiasson, because Young, very, very low level on the ground, very bad striking defense. But Chiasson is obviously super expensive, right? She's fucking 9,400. So if you want my opinion on a reasonably priced dude, I think it's Michel Pereira. I think Michel Pereira is the best DraftKings pick. I think he's going to death shot Diego early, man, and get an easy 100 points.
I'm sorry.
Okay. Sorry, Siri. No need to be sorry, bro. Lou Pisani saying he put quite a bit on Kenny tonight. You think that fight is 50-50? Oh, where you cap that? I think it's a really bad stylistic matchup for Kenny, mate, and I think Dvalishvili wins. I wouldn't say it's 50-50. Tristan Diamond saying Vanata Medeiros best fight of the card easily. Yeah, I agree, dude, for sure. Oh, Spizman96 is saying Corey Anderson is going to close a 9-leg, 2-month-old parlay at plus 1,678. Good luck, Spizman, mate. I will be rooting for Corey hard now, knowing that he's gonna bring home the bacon for you with a big payday, man. Austin Johnson said, what do you think about main event not to go the distance? What are the odds, man? I do think it's more likely it goes to a decision. Yeah, I would, if you want to bet on this fight goes to a decision or not, I would bet on it to go to a decision over not going to a decision, man. Oh, Rocco wants a podcast with me and Jack Slack. I would love to do that, boys. I got some big plans for some mad content coming out this year, boys, where I'm going to be trying to work with some different kinds of people. Also, I talk a ton of shit about MMA judges. I talk so much shit about MMA judges. So this year, I want to try and judge an MMA event. I want to try and judge like a small regional event in the UK, and just see what the challenge is, man. Because it's like I talk so much shit about MMA judges that they always say, you know, don't judge a man until you walk a mile in his shoes, right? So I want to walk a mile in a judge's shoes. I want to see what the challenges are like. So I'm going to try and judge like a small event in the UK this year, see what's up. And then I'll like vlog the whole thing, record it, see what the score is, boys. But yeah, me and Jack Slack, I would love to do that, Rocco. That would be really cool, man. Norimak is asking if I attend any UFC events live or if I stay at home to live bet. Yeah, man, because of live betting, I can't go to UFC events anymore. But I used to go to them like a really long time ago, like before I really took content creation seriously, man. So I have been to quite a few UFC events. But the last one I went to, I think, was UFC Stockholm in... No, actually, the last one I went to was Anderson Silva against Michael Bisping in London. That was the last one I went to, man. But yeah, I haven't been able to get to one recently. But I don't enjoy watching UFC live that much. I find that no matter how much you spend on tickets, no matter how good the seats are that you get, you can never really see what's going on. You find a lot of the time you're just watching the action on the Jumbotron. So I'm not a big fan of watching UFC live. And also, I'm an emotional guy, boys. I do care about people quite a lot. I'm not going to lie. And because of obviously what I do for a living, man, I follow fighters' careers like real close. Like real close. And I don't know if any of you guys remember a fighter that came off the Ultimate Fighter Smashes. His name was Andy Ogle. Andy Ogle was a British fighter. I always pay extra close attention to British fighters. Andy Ogle was a guy that had a little bit of success in the UFC, but for the most part struggled. And Andy Ogle was also a guy that was really open about his personal life and the challenges he faced being a professional fighter, and how, you know, his girlfriend and his family had to support him because he just wasn't earning enough from his MMA fights. And I remember leading up to the UFC Stockholm card, he fought Makwan Amirkhani. I think it was Amirkhani's UFC debut. And it was a very, very good stylistic matchup for Andy Ogle at the times. If you would have gone back, watched footage on Amirkhani before he came to the UFC, his cardio wasn't great, pretty sloppy off his back. Not the strongest wrestler back then. Ogle was just a hustler, man. He was a tough, gritty, determined hustler. You know, reasonably strong wrestler. One of these guys not particularly great at anything, but could handle himself everywhere, right? And I remember in the lead up to that fight, Ogle was talking about how he scraped enough money together for that fight to go out to California and train at Team Alpha Male. And he was going into the fight on like a 3 or 4 fight losing streak, and it was inevitable that if he lost this fight to Makwan Amirkhani, he was going to be released from the UFC. And he really put a lot of pressure on himself, that he went into this fight basically betting on himself. He managed to scrape enough money together from sponsors and his girlfriend, his family, to go out, train at Alpha Male. And I'll never forget, man, like he walked out for the fight in the arena in Stockholm. I was right by where they walk out, so I could see the fighters. I had like a really good view of them as they walked out, and then they went back to the dressing room. He even paid for Uriah Faber to come over and corner him. And you could see, man, young Andy Ogle was a young fighter, super hungry, super passionate about the sport, that took his career so seriously, and he really wanted to be a UFC fighter more than anything in the world. And I'll never forget, man, that fucking bell went, and Amirkhani launched himself across the octagon, caught Ogle with a flying knee, and knocked him out in like 15 seconds. And in that moment, I just felt so bad for Ogle, because I knew everything that moment meant to him. All the work he'd put in to just get flash KO'd in 15 seconds. It was so unlucky. And I will never forget, what they don't show you on the broadcasts is obviously the fighters walking back to the dressing rooms. And I will never forget, man, as Ogle was walking back to the dressing room, he was literally in tears. He was bawling his eyes out, and his cornermen were trying to console him. But he was just so devastated, man. And in that moment, he must have known, like, my UFC career is over. And I just don't enjoy seeing shit like that. It's nice to just see fights on TV where it's kind of like just a movie, right? These aren't real people, just fucking action on a TV screen. When you're actually in the arena, I just find it way more real, way more raw. And way more hard hitting, man. Like, you see things when you watch UFC live, especially if you've got good seats, especially if you're down close to the octagon, close where the fighters walk in and out. You see some pretty devastating things, man. I've got loads of stories about things I've seen at UFC events that kind of hit me hard. I'm an emotional guy. So yeah, I'm not a lover of UFC live. I prefer to watch it on TV. One of the very, very few sports. I watch a lot of live sport. I watch the Cardiff City football team all the time live. I go watch our local ice hockey team all the time live. I've been to like World Darts Championships. I love watching sports live, but I don't like watching MMA live. I find it quite emotionally upsetting, I guess. I've got loads of stories, like a bad story with Davy Grant. Crazy, man, crazy. But it's because we get so invested in these fighters, right? Which is why I do get so passionate about judging, because I think the fighters deserve better. They deserve more respect than to have some fucking pen pusher jabronis derailing their career by writing down random numbers on a piece of paper after not even understanding how to score fights or even caring that they get things wrong. It's crazy. I'm sorry for that bit of a tangent, boys. I've managed to keep it on track, boys. I've managed to keep it on track. I haven't really gone off on any rants or tangents yet, which is good for me. That was my first rant or tangent tonight. Yeah, sorry. Let's get back to the Q&A. I am very sorry, boys. What is the next question? Richard Port is asking if I like or love all my props, because I usually use a traffic light system. No, mate, I just decided to scrap the traffic light system because I look back at results and it didn't look like I was any more profitable on the bets that I disliked compared to the ones that I loved. So I just decided to scrap that system and just chuck some props up. Eric Hitchmo is asking what food I'm ordering, mate. I don't know, dude. I just text the wife asking me to order me some food. So she's going to order me something, but I don't know what's going to be waiting for me, man, when the stream ends, dude. I hope it's something nice, though. Vach Gustav is saying Shana Young plus 600 is ridiculous. Macy Kiazon sucks. Well, my friend, I would just respond to your comment with, do you even watch fighting? That's what I would say. Scott Louis is saying, if Corey can't take Yan down, do you think he wins? I do. Yan actually has pretty good takedown defense against the cage. But the thing is, Yan does slow down as the fight goes on. The fight's at altitude. So I don't think it's that important for Corey to get takedowns. I just think it's important that Corey makes Yan work. And I think if Corey can make Yan work, which he usually does because he fights at a very high pace, I think that'll pay dividends later on in the fight. I do like everything about Anderson in this fight. Sebastian Gray Palacios saying, I feel everyone talks more about altitude in Mexico City, but it's similar altitude here. Yeah, man, it's definitely a big factor to take into consideration. Kid X saying, Chris Allsop, one of the most knowledgeable guys I know. Hope everyone is benefiting from these live streams. Thank you, man. You're great at what you do. Hope we kill it tonight. Oh, thanks a lot, Kid X. Appreciate the kind words, dude. Thanks a lot, mate. Really appreciate it, man. Alpha Vision is saying, brother, don't you think Pereira is going to have a hard time with Diego Sanchez's ground game? I do, bro, but the problem with having a problem with someone's ground game is they have to get you to the ground first, and I really think Diego's going to struggle to get this fight to the ground. What have we got here, boys? Just trying to find questions. People talking about the Khabib-Tony fight a lot. Bill Jackson saying Diego Sanchez has no gym, has lost his mind, and is just a few years away from living in a nursing home. It's really sad, right, dude? It is really sad, Bill. I mean, Bill, man, I gave like a huge speech at the beginning of the at the beginning of the live stream about this. It's just really sad, man. I feel the same as you, bro. It ain't nice. You know what I mean? It's not nice, man. And Bill also saying, just listening to him, you can tell that he's been beaten to death. It's horrible, dude. It's not nice, mate. He does definitely seem to be, battling with some stuff at the moment, man, A lot of people talking about Tony and Khabib. We'll get into that fight for sure, man. YOLO420 is saying, are the fans all knuckleheads? I hear that depending on the city the event is in a lot of places they boo when in a clinch ground and just generally not nice to be around. So no. So this is something that's really interesting, right? So I live in Cardiff. So Cardiff has a lot of massive boxing matches because you get like Anthony Joshua fights, Joe Calzaghe fights, big fights in the Millennium Stadium. And boxing fucking events are crazy, man. It's like a fucking zoo in there. It's absolutely mental. But in my experience, I've been to UFC events all over mainland Europe and in the UK, and UFC events, the crowd are like super respectful, man. Like even to the point where you see like pop concerts and music concerts, like gigs, way more rowdy. So in my experience, the crowd at UFC fights is super cool. Maybe I've just been lucky with the ones that I've been to, but like in my experience, there's not many dicks at UFC events. It's pretty cool. Randy Guerrero is saying dogs are going to bark tonight, and Rocco's saying all the dogs barked last week. Yeah, you are right, boys. You are right. You are right. Bill Jackson saying Jan is old. He's much more likely to gas. Can't argue with that, bro. Can't argue with that, mate. Alpha Vision's asking if I'm betting Pereira tonight. No, mate. Like, I do think Pereira will win. But I just can't bet on a guy at favourite odds that gassed out in like 2-3 minutes of his last fight. Do you know what I mean? Like, I do think Pereira wins, man. And it hurts me to say that because I love Diego. But yeah, man, I think Pereira gets it done. But I haven't bet him, no. Although I might, if he doesn't just walk, I might bet Pereira if when he walks the octagon, he walks the octagon like normally, doesn't do stupid capoeira, crazy spinning shit, right? Early in the, well, when even his name is being announced. Nick Rodriguez saying, what term do you prefer to call people? Dude, man, bro, mate, or other? All of the above, dude. I'll take it all. Travis Berg saying, watching you from Long Island, New York, you're extremely insightful. Thanks for your help. Oh, thanks a lot, Travis, for the kind words, bro. Really appreciate it, man. I am hopefully going to come to New York at the end of the year, man. I really, really want to go to New York around about Christmas time. I can't wait, man. Maybe catch like an NFL game or something. But we'll see how the year goes, man. We're betting. You never know, right? You never know, man. Oh, Tony Picks, thanks a lot, bro. I hope you kill it as well, man. Thanks a lot, mate. I saw your comments earlier on as well, bro. And thanks a lot, bro. I really appreciate it. Vanguard98 is saying, do you ever factor in crazy judges in your bets when in states like Texas? Yeah, all the time, man. And we shouldn't have to. We shouldn't have to, man. We shouldn't have to, yeah, but I do factor crazy judges in. So, for example, I'll give you a really good example. So, I think that De La Rosa will win tonight. I really do. But if you look at her average odds, are around about 1.57. That's minus 175 for an implied probability of 64%. So, you've got to be capping De La Rosa in like the 68-ish% range to get any value. Knowing how bad MMA judges are and how competitive women's MMA fights are likely to be, it's just not worth touching a bet like this, even though I think she'll win. Like, that's just one of the examples. There's probably loads more. Borg versus Bontarin's probably going to be chaos. You know, John Dodson, Nathaniel Wood's probably going to be chaos with how bad the judges are and how ugly Dodson's able to make fights look. It's not good, man. Ford Dub Zero is saying, do you think the extra weight in a lower weight class for Borg is going to help him or help him or hurt him? It's tough to say, mate. It depends on how his weight cut was. If he didn't really try and cut weight that hard, then it will help him. But if he did try and cut weight hard and he was just a brutal cut, then it's going to hurt him. Lupizani is saying Tim Means inside the distance. I do think Means gets it done inside the distance, mate. He seems super up for this fight, super motivated, super hungry. Nick Rodriguez saying, has there ever been a UFC event in Cardiff? No, but they've talked about doing a Conor McGregor fighter here. Cardiff has got one of the biggest indoor stadiums in Europe, so I'm imagining if they want to do a big stadium show in the UK, Cardiff would be quite high up the list. I think. Oh shit! I've just forgot to. I forgot to change something, Jay Thor. Forgot to change. Jay Shaw, I forgot to update the link. Sorry, bro. I will update the link now. I will get off this stream in a second. I'll update the link. Really sorry, Jay Thor. What I will do is just post it in here. Sorry, boys. There we go. We'll pop it in there. And we'll pop it in here as well. Whoops. Sorry about this, boys. I just forgot to update the site. I have been, we've been on the live stream. There you go. Fun bet, even written in a crazy kind of way. All right. Get these parlays up as well. Starkiller234 is saying, what is the ideal medium risk to reward 3-fight parlay? Medium risk to reward. I would go with Davashvili. Shit, the odds on Piver have been absolutely steamed. What the fuck happened there? I would go with Davashvili, De La Rosa, Anderson. I would go with that, dude, for like a medium risk one. 3-leg parlay. Davashvili, De La Rosa, Anderson. I think those three get it done tonight. Nick Rodriguez is saying, is New Mexico better than the Texas Commission? It's tough to say, dude, but because the UFC haven't held an event in New Mexico in such a long time, but the last time they were in New Mexico, the judges were absolutely terrible. If I move that up, you can see the picks as well. Anderson, Pereira. If I just do that, you can kind of see the picks as well as the parlays down the bottom. But yeah, the judges last time the UFC were in New Mexico were terrible, man. And Bill Jackson saying, in the US, every state is like its own country. Andrea Lee has had 2 horrible groups of judges in a row. I know, man. It's fucking savage, right, dude? Savage, man. Tony Pix is saying, I'm against Borg. Borg died trying to cut weight. He needed the funds from the fight and was not trying to give away money. His son has medical problems, so that money is huge. Yeah, it's strange, isn't it, man? How Borg keeps running into problems with with making weight. It's nuts, man. Buffo on the beat is saying, Jim Miller is my neighbour. He literally lives 5 minutes down the road. I see him at the gas station getting chips like twice a month. Great dude. I bet him by submission. Oh, that's cool. Cool story, Buffo. That's awesome, man. Do you know him personally? That's real cool, man. I love it. Alpha Vision is saying, what do you think of Casey Kenny? I think he struggles tonight, mate. I think it's a really difficult fight for Kenny. Bill Jackson saying, if they can have a UFC card in a tent, they can have one in Cardiff. That is true, bro. That is true. AC saying, hey, also, I appreciate your work. Great content. Got a question. Which betting site do you recommend for live betting? Nice one, AC, dude. For live betting, if you live in Europe or any country that accepts, if you live in Europe, Australia, New Zealand, or Canada, or any country you can have an account at Bet365. Bet365 is the best site for live betting on UFC. If you live in the United States, I would split your money between BetDSI and 5Dimes. BetDSI allow you to bet UFC fights in between rounds. BetDSI allow you to bet during rounds, but only for main card fights. So split your money between BetDSI, 5Dimes. You'll have like the best combination. Alpha Vision saying, who do you favour in the Casey Kenny fight? I think Dvalishvili gets it done, mate. Bill Jackson says, I know someone who put 5k on Piver. That's pretty cool, man. Like, I hope he comes through for him, man. Hope he comes through for him. Oh, I've just found the guy that I've been wanting to get rid of for a while. There he goes. There we go. We got rid of him. We found him, boys. Arizek is saying you say Dodson wins, so you bet Dodson. No, man. Something weird's going on with Dodson, dude. Like before, Dodson would be like really light on his feet. He'd use loads of lateral movement. He wouldn't engage. He'd be really elusive, difficult to close down, difficult to hit. But for whatever reason, Dodson is becoming quite flat-footed, much easier to trap in his recent fights. So I wouldn't bet Dodson. It's a weird one, man. The Dodson Wood fight is a weird one because I think Wood might struggle to deal with Dodson's tricky style of fighting, but at the same time, Dodson is definitely on a decline. Oh, nice one, Marcel, the race dude. Cheers, mate. Buffo on the beat saying DraftKings have live betting in the US for UFC. Nice one, Marcel. Cheers, man. Lee Dose is saying Piver's odds have been crushed. Feel good about betting him at 1.53. Yeah, those odds are mint, dude. That is very nice. What the fuck has happened to Piver's odds? Literally, when we were doing the oh, we can actually see what his odds were by the parlays. So when we started doing the live stream, Piver was 1.41 on 5Dimes. He's now down to 1.36. That's outrageous. Piver's odds getting absolutely mollywopped. Have we seen any other big line movement? Corey Anderson's odds have been slowly dying all week, right? Slowly dying. Money's coming on Borg. Odds have been declining on Borg. Today, I think he was like 1.7-ish. Yeah, odds have declined a little bit on Borg. Odds have declined on Vanata. Since we've been doing the live stream, he was like 1.87 today. Odds have got steamed on Tim Means. He was 1.40 earlier on in the week. It's about a 25% drop. Odds have declined on Nathaniel Wood, which is interesting. Wood's odds were... odds have been... Wait a minute. I'm sure I saw Nathaniel Wood at like 1.74. Was that? No, that was Scott Holtzman. Forget it. I talk shit. There's nothing to do with Wood. Odds have got smashed on Dvalishvili. Jesus, down to 1.50 on William Hill. He was 1.63 on William Hill yesterday. That's a big drop. And odds absolutely murdered on Piver as well. Crazy, man. Hey, Sonia Ganduzzi. How you doing, Sonia? Holding it up. My 0.3% of female... my 0.3% of female viewers. Good to see you, Sonia. Nice one, Alpha Vision. Enjoy the weed, dude, and the fights. I hope you crush it, man. Alpha Vision saying in the Netherlands they can't use 365. Unibet's pretty good in the Netherlands, though, I think, dude. Paul Berry is saying, why do you think De La Rosa will win and why is he such an underdog? I don't think De La Rosa will win, dude. I think Piver will win. When I talk about De La Rosa winning, I mean Montana De La Rosa, not Mark De La Rosa. Sorry, that's a bit confusing, mate. I do think Montana De La Rosa will win. I think Mark De La Rosa will lose. Bill Jackson saying, it's been my experience there are high limits with US bookies. Yeah, I find the same thing, man. The good thing about US bookies is they're nowhere near as sophisticated as European bookies. And I don't really want to talk about the reasons why, because I would like their sites to remain the way they are. But yeah, US bookies are a little bit soft, like BetDSI, 5 Dimes, sites like that. Tank Abbott is saying Dodson has gone back to his old trainers, says he wants to fight like he used to. That's good news, man. Jackson Wink is in turmoil at the moment, right? Jackson Wink is in big trouble. Like rats off a sinking ship, man. I would love to get the lowdown on what has actually happened behind the scenes of Jackson's, because even like when guys like Donald Cerrone were leaving, sorry, let me put these props back up. When guys like Donald Cerrone was leaving, guys like John Dodson, Diego Sanchez kind of like stood up for Greg Jackson, Mike Winklejohn, right? But even Michelle Waterson and Dodson and guys like that are leaving now, Diego, so it must have got pretty bad, man. Tony Picks MMA is saying, would you think taking Piver by decision to get better odds at 1.72 is worth it? Man, I don't really like the like those tight odds, you know. Don't really like those tight odds, dude. But, you know, I'm not a fan of betting on props at tight odds like that, because it's a really highly specific outcome for not a very good payoff in the odds, do you know what I mean? So I would prefer to avoid that one. Oh, nice one, Foodie Gamer. Thanks, mate. Tank Abbott is liking Kenny tonight. Oh, nice one, Marcel. Cheers, mate. Kamais Ukin is saying Anderson is the last leg of a few big parlays of mine. 20 units of profit if he wins. Oh, good luck, Kamais, mate. Good luck, man. Underrated World is talking about MyBookie. Does MyBookie offer live betting on UFC? Let me know, man. I've never tried using MyBookie. Underrated is saying we're going to crush tonight, mate. I hope so, man. I fucking really am sick of losing, man. This is the unluckiest run on pre-fight betting I've ever been on by a mile. Like, I've never experienced anything like this. It's like every single person I bet on just either gets death-shotted, robbed by the judges, or ends up fighting like the best version of their opponent that has ever existed. So it's definitely the unluckiest run I've ever been on, and I'm really hoping we turn it around tonight, because it's just getting a bit annoying, really, to just work so fucking hard and just end up getting punched in the dick every Saturday night and having nothing to show for it. So definitely had enough of this old losing thing and want to get back on track with the winning thing. Ari Slush is saying Pinnacle claims to never close accounts. Does that mean that they just have really low bet limits? I'm not sure, Ari. They don't accept players from the UK, so I haven't been able to work with, use Pinnacle and stuff. Jeremy Beveridge is saying, if you're doing a DraftKings roster, who would be your first pick? I would go with Lando Venata, dude, just because he's reasonably priced, and I think there's a real good chance that he knocks Medeiros out dead. And Venata's pretty cheap on DraftKings. I think he's like 8,100. And I'm really sorry, man. Someone's left a comment, but the text has come up in Russian. Your username is in Russian for me, so I'm finding it hard to pronounce it. So I'm really sorry, dude. But someone has said, if Mark De La Rosa loses by KO tonight, it should affect his wife's performance, and fading the married couple tonight, bet their opponents. Yeah, it's an interesting point, man. Like, it's a really interesting point. Like, Anthony Pettis talked about this before, right? Where he was competing late on in a card, and I think Sergio Pettis got knocked out earlier on in the card. Might have been against Ryan Benoit or something like that. And Anthony Pettis talked about how much it affected his performance. So yeah, man, definitely something to that husband and wife fighting. Sorry, boy, just got some DMs over here. And so these DMs, what have we got? Solar Cowboy. Bam. Thank you, Solar Cowboy, if you're watching, dude. Thanks for letting me know, mate. All the platforms have different latency, right? Underrated World is saying they do offer live betting on my bookie. That is very interesting, man. And Bet Phoenix offers live bet in the US. That is pretty cool, man. I've never even heard of Bet Phoenix. Let me make a note of that. Thanks for letting me know, boys. Could be some new victims for me. Tank Abbott is saying, I've got a funny feeling Jan will beat Corey. I'm not sold that Corey's last KO wasn't a fluke. Yeah, it's a tough one, man. Like, Corey's very, very reckless. Like, Jan's not particularly dangerous. He's a little bit slow with his boxing, but Corey's definitely there to be hit, man. And everyone wants to, like, take the piss out of Luke Rockhold, and they see him as a bit of a joke. But the shot that Blachowicz landed on... on Luke to knock him out, would have knocked out almost anyone in the light heavyweight division. So, Blachowicz is dangerous, man. Do you know what I mean? If he catches Anderson, he'd definitely knock him out. And one thing about Anderson, he does get dinged a lot, right? He does get dinged. He was dropped in the first round by OSP, knocked out in the third. He ate a few bombs from Latifi, looked super reckless against Walker. Boob is saying, what's your reasoning in liking Jim Miller tonight? I just think he's better than Holtzman everywhere, mate. If you go back and watch Holtzman's fights against, call it out now, Holtzman's fight against Nick Lentz in particular, you'll see he's really susceptible to getting stung with the left hand. And Miller fights out the southpaw stance. He's very, very accurate with his left hand. Also, what you'll also notice about Holtzman's takedown defense is pretty poor. And when he does get taken down and starts to work his way back to his feet, he does always give his back up. And Miller's an excellent back taker. Very, very dangerous on the ground. I just think Miller's a bit better than Holtzman everywhere. But we never know how he's going to look because of obviously his battle with Lyme disease. Paul Berry is asking for a quick summary of what DraftKings is all about. So DraftKings is basically, it's like a cross between online poker, fantasy football, and betting, I suppose, but not really. Basically, every single fighter on a UFC card has like a price, and you have a set amount of money that you can build a team with. So say like you have $20,000 to build a team. You've got to pick fighters that cost certain prices that'll fit into that team. So, for example, someone that should win easily like tonight, like Macy Chiasson, is going to cost a lot more money than a fighter like Mark De La Rosa, who's probably going to struggle. So you have to have a balance in your team of really strong picks, underdogs, fights that could go either way. And then fighters score points for different things they do, like strikes landed, if they get a finish, if they win a unanimous decision, how many takedowns they get. And then at the end of the night, all your fighters that you've picked have a cumulative score, and you kind of compete with people in tournaments to see who could score the highest. That's how you win money. It's a terrible explanation. That's pretty much what DraftKings is, though. Star Killer is saying, is Vannata at 2.0 a good bet? Vannata's tempting, man, for sure. Vannata is definitely tempting, but it just bothers me how his cardio isn't great, you know what I mean? Cardio Cardio is a little bit of a worry with Vanata. Foodie Gamer is saying DraftKings is all about taking your money. Yeah, I'm not a fan of DraftKings, if I'm honest. One thing that I really don't like about DraftKings is that over the years, like basically I don't take DraftKings too seriously, but I just play in the big tournament every weekend. You know, the tournaments which have like 100,000, 150,000, 300,000 prize pools? I do that tournament for every event. And over the last few years, I've found that at times I'll place pretty well in tournaments and I won't barely earn anything because you're splitting the prize pool between so many different people. So I'm not a massive fan of DraftKings, but I still play it. I still play it every week, man. You know what I mean? Still give it a little go every week. But yeah, it's a little bit frustrating how often you have to share the prize pools. Tank Abbott saying the skill gap between Miller and Holtzman on the ground is significant. Yeah, I agree, dude. Miller is light years ahead on the ground. Blades is saying he made 60k on DraftKings last year. That's fucking amazing, Blades. That is really good, dude. Let us know, man, how to do that. That's pretty fucking amazing. I would love doing 60k on DraftKings. That's pretty cool, dude. Tiny Danzer is saying the more I think about Dodson going back to his old camp, the more I like him today. It'd be interesting to see what version of Dodson shows up for sure, man. And Tank Abbott is saying that Vanata is sounding really confident in interviews. Not sure if that's good or bad. Potentially overlooking opponent. Yeah, man. It's tough to say with Vanata, right? He's an interesting guy. But he has spoken quite openly about his struggles with like anxiety, depression, mental health. So if he's sounding confident, that's got to be a good sign. And BMG50 is saying that he thinks there's value on Vargas. Or is there any value on Vargas? No, mate, I don't think so. Weaver's pretty fucking good, man. Weaver is pretty good. Weaver should win. Gino Vitale saying shout out to my girlfriend, Jamie Cope. Oh, what's up, Jamie? What is up, Jamie, man? Jamie, does Jamie form part of my 0.3% of viewers who are female, along with my mum and Sonia. Shout out to you, Jamie. Thanks for watching. And shout out to you as well, Gino. Thanks a lot, mate. Travis Burke asking for the parlays. There's the parlays by there, dude. Alright, boys. Alright. So, I think that's going to be the end of the live stream, boys. I think my food's just arrived. We've got 1 hour to go before UFC Rio Rancho starts. So, thanks a lot for watching this live stream, boys. I really appreciate it. If you're watching on YouTube, please hit the like button below. Boys, have an amazing night. I hope you crush it. I hope the judges are respectable or respectful to the fighters tonight. I hope we all do well. Take care, everybody. Love you, boys. And I will see you all very soon. I'll be back on Monday or Tuesday with a new breakdown video. Love you, boys. Take care. Have a great weekend. Make loads of money. And I will speak to you all.